Okay. So I don't know. I'm actually gonna listen to this real quick because I don't know what this sounds like. I don't know why. I don't know why today of all days I was like, oh, let me use my the mic audio on the camera instead of just using. Oh, I didn't retake the thumbnail. Oh well. Oh well. Oh, it's not terrible. Okay. All right. So it is a full moon in Capricorn because it's Cancer season, and I wanted to pull some of the fairy oracles, and I wanted to go from there. So we'll do it around the full moon in Capricorn because otherwise it'd just be random or whatever comes out. So let's see. I gotta reach for it. I also kind of wanted to do like shorter ones. Try my hand at like not doing 5 hour videos. Uh, and then maybe doing a few, but we're going to not do that. Who is this? Number 64. I didn't even know there were 64 cards in here. Yeah, read this one. Let's see who that's about. Hold up, wait. Am I? I am very confused. I am extremely confused. Okay, there we go. I was like, which side is the card back? This is what the card backs look like. I don't even think I showed them yesterday. Excuse me. Okay, let's see who 64 is and what this is about. Where did I just put the book? Right. Nope, it's not right here. I'm going to put this up here. I would have literally just had it in my hand. Oh, wait, I'm looking at it. Oh, goodness. I slept last night, thankfully. Let's see. Number 60. Looking for 64. There are 65 cards. 64 is Gotcha? I think it's pronounced Gotcha. Gawtcha. Gotcha. Gotcha is the out of the blue fairy. He likes to surprise us. You know, you're walking along, minding your own business, or not minding any business at all. And the universe smacks you on your blind side with something that makes an awful splat. Unexpected demands from the tax man, the bank's hole in the wall machine eats your bank card late at night while the burly and irritable taxi driver is waiting. Your children find a way to dye themselves green just before your in laws arrive. A meteor hits your car. Gotcha is, of course, capable of happy surprises as well as shocking or miserable ones. Perhaps your lottery ticket wins. There is a school of thought that says this is just karma. We deserve it for sins we have totally forgotten in other lifetimes. Not so. Karma is about lessons we need to learn, not about punishment. And meaningless events don't teach us much. So, this may be karma, but it isn't that kind of karma. There is another school of thought that says all of these things are our choices. We choose to be there when this was happening. We chose to be there when this was happening. We choose to step in front of the invisible cosmic bus. Sorry. the way that. Sorry, that was just funny. We choose to step in front of the invisible cosmic bus. There is some truth to this on one level of being high in the superconsciousness, or high in the superconscious. As Gotcha says, I know more than I see. But most of us don't function at that exalted intuitive level of consciousness much of the time. However, many of us do get hints, little flashes of intuition, and sometimes even big flashes of intuition. We often say, I know I shouldn't have gone that way, or trusted that person, or invested in that stock. Um, there's this quote up here that threw me off. It says, bad fairies nip and prod us, asking for simple acknowledgement of their presence in our lives, insisting that we take notice of them. The first step to healing and change, by somebody named Brian, apparently. Um, I'm just going to leave that there. There's something on my laptop screen, but I'll get it off later. Oh, yeah, before completion. I remember that one. How you doing, Sandra? So, this full moon, Capricorn, the sun is in Cancer, Mercury is probably in Cancer because it's never too far from the sun. Venus might be in Gemini because I don't think she's ahead of the sun. Um, full moon in Cancer. Let's see. I don't know. I'm like, what's happening? What's going on? Did I say Cancer? I meant Capricorn. Full moon in Capricorn. Oh, okay. Got a few cards. Oh, two. That's not bad. I can do two. So the singer of connection, number 6, one of the singers that didn't come out yesterday. Hey Matthew, how's it going? How is it going? How are you doing? As long as it's not green, children. I am a little warm. But besides that, I have not much to complain about. I have nary a complaint. Thank you for asking. And Limsit, 17, 6 and 17. The Singer of Connection and Limsit are the two cards that come out. There's lots of and they just released a bunch of pictures of those like galaxies or whatever. All the like the little stars. Because I forget the name of the one yesterday that had the light at the throat. But this one's got a lot of lights. And for some reason, it's like this swoop of the hair is making me think of a crescent moon. Bottom of the deck is the Singer of Transfiguration. Yeah, the Singer of Transfiguration. And from what I've seen, it's the only singer that's not some white, yellow, green, blue. I mean, it's a lot of the singers that I've seen have this color sort of combination. But this one has this one. The Singer of Transfiguration, number 11. Okay. So let's start with Limsit, actually, number 17. Numero 17. Excuse me. Himself. Wow, I'm like, Limsit? Does it say Limsit? It's himself. The stylized, it's always stylized. It's difficult for me to read. Oh, well, now that I know that it says himself, I can tell it says himself. I don't know why I thought that H was an L because it doesn't look like an L at all. Himself. The singer of connection with himself, and then the singer of transfiguration. Oh, wow. Okay. Give me 1 second. I really don't know why. I don't know why I thought that said Limsit. Because that's an EL. I didn't even anyway. I just googled it to see if it was a thing, and it was like anagrams of LIMSET. Makes me think of timeless in a way. Okay, so himself first and foremost. Natural law, life force, magic, and shamanic power. Known as himself, the she is guardian of both the hunter and the hunted, and finds no conflict in that because he understands the many necessary balances of nature. The living bond between all life. Himself is the breath that moves, the atom that dances, and his magic is in pure being, living, loving. I do not know how to pronounce this. Angus? I'm going to say Angus. It's Oengus. Hey, Zelda. How's it going? Uh, Angus, Journeyman, and the Master Maker have the magic of doing, of the creation of things. The Bright Mother has the magic of manifesting and nurturing, but himself, he has the magic of procreation, of dancing the spark of life into being. His presence brings magic and life into a world where it is shaped and given form by Earth Mother. He dances as the Bright Mother gives us birth, powering us into the world. He is the Great Father. At the other end of our lives, he is the one who dances the great dance of life and death, and it is himself who, when the piper plays his lonely call on the wave swept shore at year's end, dances open the gate between the worlds so that the dead may pass beyond. It is also he who is willing to sacrifice himself when that is necessary, for the sake of those whom he protects. In between those two extremes, his wild yang energy is channeled through humans to benefit tribe and family. His family is all of us, humans and animals. Shamans draw upon his power, and the best healers channel a balance between his power and the Bright Mother's nurturing energy. Even as our hearts beat within us, we learn to mediate the life force through joyful being and action. Expressing this power through healing and love and trust, we become more like himself. When himself appears in a card spread, he not only indicates that a great amount of energy is present in the reading, but he also strongly energizes the fairy cards around him. Everything he touches becomes more of whatever it is, more alive, more vigorous, more powerful, more awesome, or more awful. This card in a reading can indicate great vitality, victory, or triumph, confidence, and power. There is leadership, an ability to command, steadfastness, and integrity, wild power held and channeled for the good of all by will. Himself speaks of protection, either of the querent or of someone the querent owes protection to, like a child or an elder. Acceptance of paternal responsibility is important, as are deep and committed relationships. He is the preserver of the natural world and its balances. Shamanic power may be indicated here, as well as potential for powerful spiritual healing. This card may also speak of erotic energy, passion, and potential creativity. That was more than I was expecting. My night's going all right. It's time is a little. It's later than I thought it would be, but I got off work later because I slept in. So But it's going all right so far. How's yours? So it says that himself energizes the fairy cards around him. So the singer of connection is definitely around him because he came out right next to the singer of connection. The singer of transfiguration was at the bottom of the deck. So it's around him in context, but it wasn't around him in liminal space. And I guess by liminal space, I mean like in the order of the cards. Uh, did the word circumstance come out? I feel like I read about, yes. I don't know if it was in this deck or if it was in the, I don't think it was in the Rainbow Tarot. So it might have been in the Antique Anatomy Tarot. It was something that came out recently. Actually, it might have been one of these cards. It might have been one of the singers. I think it was actually one of the singers. The Singer of Courage. Is it this one? It might not be the Singer of Courage. But it talked about how sometimes it's like things don't happen until we're ready for them to happen. And basically, how like a lot of the playing out of events is on us, but sometimes it's also the world. Sometimes it's also circumstance. Sometimes it's a matter of time more than it is a matter of what we need to do or where we need to be. And I get that feeling again. Um, I don't know why. So the Singer of Connection. I don't know why I closed the book because we're right back in it. Here we go. The Singer of Connection is spiritual connection, karma, balance, and empathy. It talks about karma. So we're talking about karma again. Saturn is what? Retrograde. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. People say that Saturn is associated with karma. Um, it's interesting that Saturn is the only planet that opposes the sun and the moon. Because I think it was one of the times I was talking about, um, maybe it was all the Jupiter and Saturn. And it was like, well, Jupiter opposes Mercury. Pisces Sagittarius opposes Gemini Virgo, or Virgo Gemini. But Capricorn Aquarius opposes Cancer Leo, the moon and the sun. And the moon and the sun are the only planets that only rule one sign. And there's one planet that is whatever enough to oppose both of them. And then it's like, planet against planet. I don't know. Jupiter and Mercury is like, oh, that's a song. Okay. I was like, wait, what is that? Sorry. Um, Jupiter, I feel like for its expansiveness, is matched by the speed of Mercury. Um, who else is it? So Taurus, Venus is Mars. Venus and Mars. That's easy. Uh, who else is it? Is that it? Saturn, the Sun, the Moon, Venus and Mars, Jupiter, Mercury, Saturn. Yeah, the traditional seven. And so I think there is a certain um Let me turn this off. The banjoing is just beginning. Probably. Um, I think there is, it also makes sense that Saturn would be the one planet to oppose both the sun and the moon because of how we experience life on Earth. There's the daytime and then there's the nighttime, and we see the sun during the day, we see the moon at night. Sometimes we see the moon during the day. But it feels like it's the orderliness is why Saturn sort of opposes those two. And then like there are our bodies function one way in the daytime and they function another way at night. We are probably diurnal by nature, but we can be whichever by habit. Um, and so it feels like there is a certain amount of like order, I guess, with it being Capricorn. What cardinal Earth opposing cardinal water, Cancer. I would think that usually those two would get along unless there's like some kind of opposition. Opposition in the sense of like it's like either it's like almost sharing like sharing space or having to share space with someone that you don't like. Because it's almost like, typically if you're sharing space or if you are in a moment or a time of connection with someone, it would be because there's some like kind of at least like that exists. And so it'd be enjoyable. Um, and so I don't know if it's like a feeling that predates the foundation. And that could be like if you look at someone and you feel a certain type of way about them, positive or negative, but you don't have a reason besides your gut instinct. And then you get to know them or you experience situations with them or sort of like around them. And then you start to build a case on like that supports what you originally felt or that goes against it or that's neutral. But it feels like something is like leading something else rather than something lagging. With the moon being, oh, it's also, yeah, because the moon is in Capricorn instead of the moon being in like sun in Capricorn, moon in Cancer, and the moon is in like the planet that it rules. The moon is in Capricorn. It almost feels like love is an action word type of energy. Um, or I mean, I guess it could feel good with the sun being in Cancer. That feels like expression or like what is seen, right? So like there's an expression of emotion, and with the moon being in Capricorn, it's like, is there something that backs up that expression of emotion? Or does it feel like it's just words because there isn't a foundation there? Or is it something that almost like that other example of like when you feel the thing before you know why you feel it? And we're not going to take that any deeper. Huh? So the singer of connection, spiritual connection, karma, balance, and empathy. It also talked about balance. Um, the singer support this singer supports all connections, the web of light between all beings, all particles, and between past, present, and future. It brings wholeness to apparent duality and combines all energies, uniting all that was, is, or could be. When we lose awareness of this connection in our lives, we feel isolated, lonely, bereft. Yet the energy is there. We need only to be open to it. It's interesting that it says uniting all that was, is, or could be, because that's what it feels like. It's almost like if we feel the emotion before we have the experiences that would lead to those emotions, it's like, well, from a certain perspective, all things are simultaneously happening. And so it's validated. But in the linear experience, it just hasn't sort of come around yet. And so there is something that almost exists outside of time. Love is a thing that exists outside of time. Um, it's like, if there's a parent or a family member and a baby, right? Like, you ain't even met this baby yet. You haven't met, like, not only have you not given birth while the baby is still in the womb, and the mother's like, oh, I love you so much, and they're touching the stomach, and then the father's like, oh, I love you so much, and they're touching the stomach, if that's your experience. Or we're talking about that experience. So if that wasn't your experience, then it's a metaphor. Um, but it's like they haven't even met the baby yet. The baby isn't born yet. They haven't met the child that the baby will become, or the teenager, or the adult, or like all of that. They haven't met yet. But the love that they have for that child is there. And when it's family, it's easiest to make that connection because that's how people do family. That's how some, at least, people do family, because I know not every family is loving and supportive and stuff like that. Um, and so I almost wonder, it almost makes me think of, what was it, the Futurist Sentinel? It was when I was using those magic cards. And it was like there's this energy from the future that's coming to the present to ensure that that future happens and to protect something, or to make sure that something happens to lead to that potentiality. Because it feels like, and himself does amplify the fairies around it. So it feels like in the void of timelessness, where all of the moments in between moments, sort of like that space between seconds, between moments, sits this singer of connection. And it feels like through himself, it's not that it's like manipulating probabilities, but it is a very like timeliney type of energy. It's also interesting that himself mentioned like choice and how choice is a thing. It's a part of the equation. It may not be the whole equation, just like karma might be a part of the equation and not necessarily the whole equation. And it's not necessarily karma as we have an understanding of it, because it mentioned that too. And karma, again, is right here. Um, there are emotions that help us open up: love, compassion, trust, and so on. There are other emotions that we tend to close down around unless we make a special effort to keep our hearts open. As you can probably guess, these emotions are feelings such as jealousy, anger, fear, grief, and others of a similarly painful nature. Yet sometimes these very emotions, when carried to an extreme, cause us to break down and then break through to the song of ecstasy. This is a risky way to go, as well as an extremely difficult one, because more often the breakdown just stays broken for a long time, and then we retreat back to a more crippled version of our original selves. A far better way to become ever more aware of our essentially holistic nature is to work at keeping our hearts open, seeing relationships, being earthed and centered and connected. In a meditation, someone, and I suspect it was this singer, asked me to let go of all my defenses. I argued that surely we needed defenses in this world in order to survive. I was firmly but lovingly told it is only by letting go of all of our defenses that you become invulnerable. This makes me think of the angel of Cancer. This is the Cancer part of it. Oh, I need bookmarks. I'll just slap my phone in here. Oh, I'll use the angel of. Ooh. Opponent's wild laughter is behind this. I'm gonna pull those now. I hope I can get to them. I think it's Muriel, the angel of Cancer, and it talked about how I'll just read the card so I don't have to butcher the paraphrase or expend brain that I barely have. Hold up, wait. Is it this? No, that's the energy oracle cards. I was thinking about using those earlier. Oh, it was the smaller one. Okay, I thought it was a larger one. The Angelarium is a little smaller than I remembered. I ain't used this deck in a minute. I think I thought about this deck recently, but I don't remember why. Let me just find Muriel. Muriel. And I think Hanael is the angel of Capricorn, but I don't remember what she looks like. Or he was that literally? No, that wasn't. Here's Muriel. Muriel is in between Cephalus, angel of dust, and Azazel, angel of sacrifices. And himself talked about sacrifice. Oh gosh, I just scooped this table right onto the floor. So Muriel, the face we show on the outside and who we are inside is always different. That shell we build over our hearts exists to guard us against the barbs of the world. As we grow, that shell hardens, but the need to let others past it becomes equally as valuable. The essence of this sign is not only a shield that holds harm at bay, but it is also the warmth that brings life and healing into our lives. Muriel is the protector of our deepest truths and the caregiver of our innermost selves. And I've never really paid attention to it before, but I'm loving like the split and the bend in this tree and how Muriel sort of sits in between it. And put you back at the bottom. Oh wait, I already read that. That gave me such a strong shock of recognizing the rightness of it that I couldn't even breathe for a moment. The part, it is only by letting go of all of our defenses that we become invulnerable. Um, but then, still reluctant because it sounded like a big job, I muttered that I didn't think I knew how to do that or even what all my defenses were. I was assured kindly that I would receive help if I asked for it, and I know that you will be given the same aid too. Oh, wow. And just thinking about that, like, I guess my brain just goes to like the vulnerability, um, and how like for true, like for intimate, deep connections, um, the amount of vulnerability that's sort of present. But when it's a connection between those that we trust, it feels like vulnerability is a lot easier to come by because we know that it won't be violated, and we know that it won't necessarily be seen as a weakness. Or it'd be easier to feel that the vulnerability and trust won't be violated and that, it won't be seen as a weakness. Um, who is this? I just got to check and see, because if this is somebody talking about food, then it's not. Okay, that's why I put the phone on mute, because I knew the banjo was going to be swinging. Through the power of this singer, all connections are made, held, and released as appropriate. In a reading, this singer indicates the connection of things, especially reconnecting those that have been sundered. It is unifying and reunifying. It tells us that we need to be aware of the connections between different aspects of the issue under discussion, as well as the connections between the people linked by it. We also may need to build more connections, a network of mutual support. The presence of the singer of connection in a reading indicates support and strength flowing through the connections between those involved. And then the singer of transfiguration. Is this the capital I? Is himself the capital I? Maybe not. Maybe. Maybe not. Possibly. The singer of transfiguration is transformation, transcendence, and metamorphosis. The singer of transfiguration tells us that we have been through the gate and we have passed through the initiation process and we have reached a new way of being, reflecting deep transformation within ourselves. Things will never again be what they once were. Things will never be seen the same way by us, and this is a good thing. This singer's joyful, passionate, bright blaze of color heralds a time of fulfillment and accomplishment. As with the other singers, the power and joy of this one radiates especially strongly to the things and beings symbolized by the cards around it. Like the reborn, renewed phoenix, this singer is a flame with vibrant, expanded life. There really isn't much I can say about this, not even the fairies seem to have anything to add. They are just sitting around here smiling blissfully, even old G. Doom, and humming an ethereal and beautiful melody. And the cat in my lap, Sylvie, is purring so loudly it sounds like she is singing, as indeed she is. So are we all. That makes me think of Ecstasy, the song that is in like all of us, Behind Every Heartbeat or whatever. And was it himself that mentioned ecstasy? I think it was. One of these mentioned ecstasy. Jackpot! This card in a reading signifies the joy of success after a time of struggle. A new way of life has been accepted and is being integrated. A sense of inner peace is growing. The struggle has all been worth it. This is a time of consolidation and joy, and is both a reward for past achievement and a time of preparation for the next climb of the path. Interesting. Okay, so according to the fairies, it's like, congratulations, well done. Y'all have successfully navigated whatever. And the full moon in Capricorn. It's a full moon in Capricorn. I'm trying to go back to like Sun in Cancer, Moon in Capricorn. And what that means. Well, if this is a beginning, if it's a time of beginnings, and the moon is in Capricorn, as it goes into the new moon in Leo, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, as it goes into the new moon in Leo, what it's pouring out, it almost feels like the foundation has been built within and something has been achieved internally. And now we're going to start to see that come more and more and more externally. I don't know if like the singer of connections is going to be like new connections, connections that speak to sort of the level of, I almost want to say commitment, but we'll say vulnerability, commitment, intimacy that we have with ourselves. It's going to be reflected outward. It feels like it's going to match sort of where we are and where we're going, maybe a little bit more than like where we've been or where we were. um, and that if there hasn't been, see, that's the thing about this though, and that's the thing about dropping defenses, because it feels like it's the vulnerability. It's like even if nothing bad happens, it's like a sensitivity, almost like it'd be raw because we haven't necessarily been out into the world or haven't necessarily been connecting with people or maybe even connecting with ourselves in this way. It's almost like there was always a backup or an escape route, or like an excuse for when things go south. It's like, oh, well, this person X, Y, or Z anyway. So, I'm not really losing that on much. Or I knew it was too good to be true because I'm A, B, or C and they're so great. Like they would have eventually seen. It's almost like some imposter syndrome type stuff. Um, but the thing about vulnerability and connection, the thing about authenticity, vulnerability, and connection is that when we're vulnerable in our authentic self and a connection is established and even strengthened, then it's like if there was anything that was not harmonious in that, the connection or the strength of that connection would recede. Right? It's like if we are ourselves and we notice some connections getting deeper, it's probably because the person on the other side of that connection likes us. You know what I mean? It's not like we're gonna be our true self. And well, okay, I guess I take that back because ulterior motives are a thing with people, I guess. But in a true, genuine way, it's like if people don't like what they see, like it wouldn't get any further. Um, and so, and I think sometimes too, we can show more than we think we do, or some people can read a little bit deeper, and it's almost like there may be, like on our side there may be a blockage to connect even further, or to open up a little bit more, be a little bit more vulnerable, because it's like, well, I don't want to be too much of me because then maybe like they won't get it or they won't like me or blah 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 whatever. But it feels like on the other side, like they can already see it and they like it and they want more, and that's why, like, they're putting the effort that they're putting into the connection. But it feels like it's so, part of it is mental, part of it is experiences we've had with other people probably. um, but what I liked about the transfiguration card, or maybe it was the end in the reading of connection, it's that it mentioned it goes beyond just relationships, like connection, especially with himself being here amplifying the fairies around him. Connection can be like cause and effect, like for when it was like, sometimes everything is ready within the self, sometimes we've done everything that we need to do, but the world is still like catching up, or the circumstances, the environment, the situation isn't necessarily right for the thing to bloom, for it to germinate, right? Because like, let's say it's a seed that is ready to sprout, and or it's a bud that is ready to open, but it's like it's still too cold, or the soil is still a little too dry, or like You know, it's waiting for the spring to come before it really does whatever. It already has everything that it needs. It almost feels like with the power of himself amplifying the spirit of connection. And again, it's almost like this what it is and what it will become type of energy, but it feels like the connection surges and it either it exceeds the circumstance or it changes the circumstance. It's almost like going back to the bud, right? Let's say it's the, I guess it won't be the middle of winter. Well, let's go back to the seed. So let's say it's the middle of winter and there's a seed underground that is like ready, but it can tell it's too cold. And if I sprout now, like it's gonna be a short life because there's not much sun in the wintertime. Daylight is shorter. Without sun, I can't photosynthesize all the things I need to photosynthesize for a healthy, strong plant to grow, you know? But it's almost like with himself and the angel of connection between the seed and the plant, that connection is so strong that it germinates anyway. And then the power of that connection supplies the energy that it needs within the plant so it doesn't need to rely on the sun. And because it doesn't need to rely on the sun, it's almost like it has the potential to max out or to exceed what it would have gotten from photosynthesis anyway. So it's almost like it would bloom in the dark. It probably would still bloom in the dark because it's not relying on the energy to come from the sun to excite its electrons and then get it to do whatever. It provides that energy. It's almost like it provides that energy within itself, but it's surging from himself. And it almost is the capital I, it almost is the universal witness. It's the spark of the divine that lives inside of us. Like that spark is surging. And because that spark is surging within the body, again, the body has all the energy that it needs to do whatever it needs to do without relying on external inputs. And so now it almost feels like it's the primordial soup. And in primordial soup, it's like, you know, or it's like the first few plants that arrived on planet Earth when there was like a lot of carbon dioxide and other things in the atmosphere. It was those plants because plants, they take in carbon dioxide, they release oxygen. So after enough time, or maybe when plants were big enough or there were enough plants, we can start to get organisms that need oxygen to survive. And it's almost like that's how the internal surge then shifts something in the environment enough for other things to begin to shift in the environment. And it feels like that in turn surges the singer of transfiguration. Like the singer of transfiguration is surging because the singer of connection is surging. But also the singer of connection, it feels like the singer of connection and the singer of transfiguration are like overlaid on top of each other because it isn't necessarily a person to person connection. It's more of like the past, present, future connection. And again, like to go from the baby to the toddler to the child to the teenager to the adult, for us, it's a time thing, but it's a time thing because of how the body matures over time. So there's the connection in time, in age, but there's also the connection and the transfiguration of all of the chemistry and anatomy and physiology that happens in the body as we go through that. And that's why it's like they're overlaid on top of each other. But also with, I don't know, there's like something is surging with himself. And the surges are connected, but they're also overlaid on top of each other. I don't know. It feels like some kind of super resonance or something. I don't know. Horsetail releases spores, although it's not a fungus. Ooh. I feel like, have I don't know. Sometimes I'll read something or hear something and be like, have I like heard about that recently? Like, was that a thing? Did I see that? Sometimes I'll be able to tell you what it is. Sometimes I'll be like, what, was it a dream? Did it happen? Am I just making it up? I don't know. But there is a progenitors and a primordial pool card in the diceology, but I don't remember what else is on that card. Oh, it's this one. Oh gosh. A blip of light at the heart of a black hole, progenitors in a primordial pool. It's this card. And it's in between the King of Clubs and the Queen of Diamonds. King of Clubs is where feminine and masculine meet, the conception of innocence, nesting and preparation. Queen of Diamonds, an abrupt change of season, the vision catching up to fantasy, the feeling of valleys and falling of mountains. That's all of them together. The vision catching up to fantasy, and the vision catching up to fantasy is like, it's like seeing is believing. It's not like seeing is believing. Well, it's like when we see what we believe, like in real time. And I didn't finish it. I was listening to it on the way to work. Eve's collective reading with the Blue Jays and the Robins. And there were two cards that she got, and it was it's all in your head and like making dreams reality or something like that. And when I was listening to it on the way to work, it's like the things in our head are dreams. So it's like what's in your head is becoming a reality, basically. It's all in your head and dreams becoming reality. Hey Steph, how you doing? And I feel like that is it's kind of sort of echoed or mirrored here. I think there might also be mm, I don't want to say like for the advanced practitioner, but it almost I mean these are fairies, so any kind of trickstery sort of energy is not necessarily all fairies, but for the realm of the fae, it's like par for the course. Sometimes it's how it's said or it's what isn't said. Um, I was watching an episode of a show last night, and the character it was a character that had was she came upon a genie, or the genie came across her, and she was making wishes, and the genie kept telling her, like it's in the phrasing, it's in the phraseology, the wording, like choose your words carefully because what you say matters. And then her last wish was basically to undo all of her previous wishes, and the genie was like, you know, you're not going to remember it if you go back, but there's going to be something within you that kind of sort of does. Like you won't consciously remember, but what you've experienced will live in your subconscious and it'll continue to affect you. Um, but anyway, later she gets trapped in a labyrinth. Um, and the keeper of the labyrinth tells her, like, you know, one of you will stay here, the other one will, I forget how she worded it, but the girl who had already experienced the genie, she was like, you worded that in a very, no, what it was like, it sounds like that's like very specifically worded because it was to sound like what she wanted, but that wasn't the truth. And the escape from the torment of the labyrinth was death, because when you're dead, you're not experiencing the labyrinth, and that is not what it was not as advertised. I'm so far on this tangent, I don't even remember why I went down this one. It was in the wording of words and the fae, the trickster energy. It's not. necessarily trickster. I lost it. I tangent rambled it away. Oh, it's that like connections work both ways. And it feels like for the advanced practitioner, it's like very temperance magician energy. Um, but it feels like it's based on like knowing that connection goes both ways. And there's almost like this understanding of Libra and a like what for Libra being like an exchange rate, basically. Maybe that's the karma in Libra. And maybe that's the karma in karma. It's not necessarily it's almost like this understanding of how choice ripples out into the universe and how choices it's almost like if we live in the middle of a pool or in the middle of a body of water and every time we make a choice like something drops in the pool and it ripples out. I'm like trying to keep this together but my brain is like I feel like I'm trying to make it make sense. And so it's like the choices and decisions that we make, some we consciously make, some we make not fully consciously. Sometimes it's just the environment. Sometimes we just get like if our pool is in a jar in a container and there's another jar container next to us and it starts to shake exceedingly vibrantly or whatever, vibrationally, then like ours starts to shake a little bit and so we might get like ripples from outside of our own pool, but it feels like those ripples are like these sound waves that code for our experiences and like what happens. And so like it's almost like that's how our choices can it's like our choices influence the nature of our I don't know of our reality. It's like I know how I'm like understanding it, but I don't know how to communicate it. And so the Libra, the karma, it's just like when it's oscillating in between. Oh, that's photosynthesis. When it's oscillating in between this frequency, then we experience these things. When it ripples more, or when it's more active and it oscillates up here, then we experience these frequencies and like these and these. Like there's this an entire bandwidth. Let's call it the visible spectrum of experience, um, the rainbow. And so it feels like the trickstery magician Libra whatever it's like it understands that like it's almost like how to get into certain frequencies or how to get things from certain frequencies or something. But I wouldn't even necessarily think it's necessary. I wouldn't think it's well, is anything that a magician does necessary? Like is it necessary to make a broom sweep a floor, or could the magician just as well grab the broom and do it himself or herself? Sorry, not to assume that all magicians are men or masculine presenting energies. Um, I don't know. Anyway. Oh snap! I didn't even get to finish it. Oh no! Oh yeah, because you brought him with you, right? You brought him back with you. Oh snap! I didn't catch the last song. Hold up, I gotta clip these songs before I lose the chat. Oh, I love technology. I love that now when you like you can just highlight something and when you right click it, it'll be like Google. I'm like, oh yes. Now I don't even have to copy, paste, go to Google, search Google for the thing I highlighted. Love it. Amazing. Okay. I'm back. You did? And this is also, was it the singer, whichever singer was, I think it was the singer of Transfiguration. Yeah, it was. It's like, you made it. Congratulations. Woo. But also, like, you're preparing for the next thing. So it's like the conclusion of one before the beginning of another. And again, it feels like it's the energy of the moment in between moments. But this moment in between moments isn't necessarily in between time. It's more like the time in between two events. Um, the conclusion of one before the beginning of the next. So, huh? I did. I think that's when I was like, oh, snap. I don't have any Blue Jays around. I mean, there's plenty of robins around here, though. The robins are everywhere. There's like, I don't know if I can't remember what the birds who nest in the tree is. I don't know if it's a family of robins. It might be, actually. It would make sense why they're like just here then. Um, oh, it's like it's the beginning of something. Because it's the progenitors in a primordial pool. Uh, there aren't any fives. This feels very five. Eve got a five. It was a 32 5. I don't remember what the card was. Maybe it was the card of dreams becoming reality. I think it was that card. Because I remember her saying it would require change. This is interesting. Blue Jays, Cardinals, three different kinds of woodpeckers. Oh, snap. I think it was one of the singers. I don't remember which one. But I think it's the same one I was thinking about earlier. I mean, I can read them and see. Because, no, I won't. It was the one, it was the one about circumstances. And it was like sometimes there's something that happens outside of us that changes us. And when we change, it's like what we see or the way we see things outside of us changes. It feels like in this connection surging, it's almost like also like a feedback. But it's like that's because connections go both ways. And energy is flowing both ways in the connection. And so if it surges, I don't know, because I feel like the way we think of like fluids flowing through a pipe, if it's surging, it can only surge in one direction. It's like it can't be gushing out of the right side and also flowing like gushing out of the left because it has to have its origin point somewhere. The only way it could do that, oh my gosh. I think I like this deck, but it's a lot. The only way something would gush out of both sides of a pipe is if there was a third segment. And it's like the water is actually coming in here And that's why it's like it's gushing out both ways, because it's actually like there. It's like we view the pipe like this, but if we were to see it, it's like there's actually something connected here, but we don't necessarily see that part from our perspective. I think the reason why these singers are so powerful is because it's like it's almost archetypal in a way. It's the singer of connection. Two atoms forming a molecule is a connection. Time flowing from past to present to future is a connection. Relationships are connections. Associations, knowledge is connections. Seeing or sight is a connection, because it's like the brain takes in the image and then it uses its associations to almost like um, make what would be a fuzzy image more clear. Like connection is in like transfiguration when our cells divide. That's transfiguration, transformation. The formation of a molecule from like it goes from two separate atoms or however many, every time it adds on more, like it's transfiguration. It's like it operates from the nano to the macro. And it's funny because nano, micro, macro was a thing also recently too. I'm just like, why personally? I'm like, why full moon in Capricorn though? Because it doesn't feel like every time the full moon is in Capricorn, every time we have a full moon Capricorn, like this is the energy. I mean, I guess that's not how, I don't know. It almost feels like the timing of the full moon in Capricorn is more so synchronistic, or it's more so almost coincidental than it is like this is an energy that's coming forward because of the full moon in Capricorn. But I think himself also sort of talked about that. Oh, Brian Froud is the dude. The text is by Jessica Macbeth. That's who Brian is. I mean, I could have assumed that Brian was the author in some way. Um, I open to the singer of connection. I think himself had talked. It's almost like just no. This is okay. Yeah. See, so when I was at work earlier, um, I don't watch Miss Marvel. I don't watch a lot of Marvel anything, but I like watching Eric Voss talk about stuff on New Rockstars. So I watched What If by watching Eric Voss go through all the Easter eggs and stuff that you might have missed. Um, and he was talking about how um, Marvel approaches time travel and what like the how we've seen the rules of time travel explained in the Marvel universe by different characters in the different shows, like Avengers Endgame question mark when they went to the past question mark, Loki because apparently that was all about the different timelines, and in Miss Marvel she went back to the past, and he was talking about like the different like there's the closed loop sort of time travel where it's like something mysteriously happens one day and it causes a character to do whatever. And then 15 years later, they go back in time and they do like they're the cause of the mysterious thing that happens. And so it's like it closes that loop. But back in the past, they didn't know that it was future themselves. But when they get into the future and when they go back to the past, typically it's significant enough that they don't forget about it because then I would hate to it's almost like, oh, you were supposed to do the thing because you didn't like whatever, and it's like, oh, I didn't remember. it was an insignificant day. I found a penny on the street one day and I just left it there. How was I supposed to know that 15 years later I get an opportunity to go back to 2 seconds before I walked by that penny on the ground, and I got to make sure it's there so I see it? Because when I was looking at that penny on the ground, there was something else I wasn't looking at. I didn't even know what I wasn't paying attention to because I wasn't paying attention to it 15 years ago. Anyway, I got lost on the tangent again. It's fine. But I was watching that video and he talked about the different kinds of time travel. And I already lost where this was going. Hey, Kelly, how you doing? I don't. So I almost like put a little caveat on this. I don't like super follow lunation cycles. Um, I used to a little bit more. Like I never really got into rituals or anything because I'm not really a ritual type of person. I'm more of a like everything is in my mind. So, um, but yeah, I don't even remember. I remember Reem's video, the super full moon in Sagittarius and the new moon. But yeah, I don't know. To like even participate in that conversation. I don't remember. I don't even know where I am right now. Sorry. What was the time traveling thing though? Oh, when it's like events that just line up. I don't know if that was the time traveling thing though. I think maybe it was in that video because it was like how the I don't know. I was eating Arby's and watching the video in the few minutes I had before I got back to work. The day of longest light or night, a garment for all occasions and filling a gap. On the cusp of realization, a shared vision, a quickening. Where passion meets determination, going the distance, a need for discipline. Filling the gap is interesting. I almost wonder if there is connection in the absence of connection. And by that I mean, I have no clue. I think it might be because I feel like I might have heard someone mention a Chiron retrograde. Maybe. This is not food. I need to go so I can get some meat. I already forgot what I was talking about. Oh, is there a connection in the absence of connection? Like in an open loop, in an open circuit. Or like, is there, it's almost like in the potential for connection. It's like if we go back to the molecules, it's like there's this atom over here and there's this atom over here. And they would form a connection and bond if they were close enough, but they're separated by distance, so they don't. Could surging connection bridge that timelessness in a way where they'd be like quantum? Okay, I'm getting too deep into it. It's fine. Um, Apparently, this is the full moon in Capricorn, or it's the energies around the full moon in Capricorn. Um, Nesting and preparation is here. It was probably for Capricorn when it was like, because it's almost like Capricorn is the house, Cancer is the home. But it's like, what's the purpose of, like, the purpose of a house is to become a home. And while there is family and while there can be love, there's no home without a house. And it's like, it is, but it isn't. Okay. I guess that's it. It's already been an hour and 15 minutes. The rest I leave for you. Um, I don't have any tarot. I feel like I need some kind of tarot, but I guess also at the same time I don't. So I'm gonna get some final cards. I'm gonna shuffle these up and put them away, and then we'll see what comes out. I'm gonna go in reverse chronology. So from the most recent deck, I'll pull down to the first one I used, and then I will try to rustle up some grub, some victuals, as my mother would say. Ooh, can y'all see the sweat on my brow? This, whatever it is, though, it's mega interesting. Um, oh, oh, okay. I think that's the answer to my question. Sorry. So the Ace of Clubs and the Two of Spades come out. Came out. The Ace of Clubs is a strong will and an open heart. And an open heart, going back to the vulnerability, a will that is strong enough to have a heart that is completely open, or whatever. All things taken into account. See, it's that all things. It doesn't feel bad. It doesn't feel malintended. But it's like with that cause and effect. But I guess that's what the angel. I keep wanting to call them angels. That's what the singer of Transfiguration said in the entry, though. It's like, congratulations, you made the change within you. So now you are going to experience the change outside of you. And all things taken into account makes it feel very deserved, but deserved in a way where like observation had to have taken place. You know what I mean? And I guess, God is always watching. The universe is always watching. I mean, the universe can feel us literally moving inside of it. Um, the compassionate divine. And again, hey Holly, how you doing? Again, there was something that was like, oh, where was it? I just lost the thought. It slipped. I forget where it was. I don't know why it feels trickstery though. And again, it's not like a trickster. It feels like it wasn't seen. It feels like an unobserved witness. It's like if, oh, yeah, that's what it was. And the thing with vulnerability, where people can sometimes read in between the lines and see behind the mask and peer into the cracks, where there are things that we televise. Is that the word I want? Like things that we broadcast, things that we show or exhibit or say without a full knowledge and awareness that like we're doing it. So it's like other people can like actually see. Well, not everybody else, not like everybody, but it's like to the ones who listen and to the ones that actually like see, like they see it. There's no hiding it because it's in the it's how can we be anything but what we are? You know what I mean? It's our essence. Sometimes we can do a good job of hiding. Anyway, it's that energy. It feels like it wasn't seen, or it feels like it wasn't observed. So it's almost like this is. It's like it's the person who like They donate to charity and they go to the food shelter and they do everything for everybody in a very like humble, I guess I shouldn't use the word humble. It's just like in a quiet way, in a way that they don't necessarily tell people about. But it's like the people who are impacted. So like the people at the homeless shelter that they volunteer at and the people who work at the charity and the other people, it's like someone wants, it's almost like it's time for the wheel of fortune to move. The wheel of fortune is coming to turn in our favor. Oh, this was a thing. Who was it? Was it a singer? It was I think it was the Bright Mother or whatever her name is. I'm pretty sure it was her entry, the counterpart to himself, where it was like sometimes she will work through people around us. It almost feels like it's time for the wheel of fortune to spin in our favor in a way. It doesn't have to be, because I feel like drastic is, whatever. It's just our fortune is going to improve. And so what happens is somebody at the charity gets an idea like, I want to do something really nice for that person. And someone at the homeless shelter, like all of these people get the idea to do something nice. And somehow, some way, the angel of connection bridges our connections. So like we have all of these separate connections, and either they are previously connected or something happens and they get connected. And all of those, it's like we pour out. Ooh, I like this. My legs are like getting a little goosebumpy. It's like we pour out in all of these ways, in all of these like seemingly disconnected ways. But the angel of connection surges those connections together, and then they all pour back into the middle where we usually pour out. And it's like it is an aligning of circumstance, but it isn't at the same time. Where was I going with that? I don't know, but it feels like that kind of sort of energy potentially. Maybe, I don't know. I kind of got lost on the tangent again, but I feel like that was the point. That was to like all of that connecting and then surging back in at the same time was to illustrate whatever I was trying to communicate. My Mercury is in Pisces in my 12th house, and I'm a Pisces. My Sun and Mercury are in Pisces. My brain literally works in metaphors and stories and connections. Like brains, the singer of connection, neurons in the brain. Oh, that's why knowledge is a connection. Okay, I already did that. Anyway, am I going to be like super coordinated tomorrow or something? Am I not going to trip over air? Am I going to be able to drink water and not choke because it went down the tube that I breathe with instead of the tube that I eat and drink with? Um, anyway, that was the first one. That was the Ace of Clubs. Now, the reason why I was like, oh, snap, I don't think I said, oh, snap. I might have just like chuckled or laughed a little bit because it's the Two of Spades. And the first thing, oh my gosh. Okay. The first thing is a displacement replace. And I was like, is there a connection in the absence of connection? Like the energy that sits in between, like when I was like, there's this thing over here and this thing over here. And if they were together, they'd be like that. But they're separated by like this distance. So they're not like that because they can't be from over here. But I guess it could be like that if we're talking about quantum anyway. Let me not get lost on this tangent. The displacement replace, it's almost like if it were originally one thing and then it split into two, then even though they're separate, since that connection existed at one point, there is still energy in the absence of that connection. But also at the same time, like time is irrelevant here. So if they will ever be connected, there is energy in that connection, even if they haven't yet connected. But a displacement replace makes me think of wherever my brain was going when it asked that question. Um, Unintended and unforeseen consequences and a need for wisdom. The unintended and unforeseen consequences going back to the analogy of like this, whatever that is, um, it just feels like, again, it's like that whatever, it's just unseen, unobserved. It's like we didn't see it, but it saw us, or something like that. And consequence, like it's not a bad consequence. Consequence is just the result, unintended and unforeseen results. It's like, when you, for the story of the one who donates and volunteers and does all the good stuff, they're not doing all of that with the intention of getting anything back in that story. And that's why it's unintended, because it's like, it's not like, oh yeah, I was volunteering and doing all this and doing that so that you would give me something. It's like, no, I was just doing it out of the goodness of my heart, or because I needed hours on to put on my scholarship to say that I volunteer or whatever. I mean, I guess there was kind of something, but it wasn't like that. Wasn't, it's like seemingly unrelated. I don't know. Anyway, those are the two cards that came out. I'm trying to go. Bottom of the deck is a school of glimmering fish, spotlight of sunken treasure, the rising of a new continent. This is interesting. On the cusp of realization, a shared vision, and a quickening again. It's interesting because there was the ace and the two that came out. The bottom of the deck was a three. 1, 2, 3. That sounds like, oh snap. And then under that three was another three. Clubs, spades, diamonds, and clubs again. And then another spade, and now a heart. I was like, ain't no hearts though. Oh wait, this was at the bottom. I need to put that back at the bottom. Maybe it is a full. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's like, I don't know, if I do a full moon Capricorn reading, it's like, what is this full moon bringing us, right? It's not like, what does a full moon in Capricorn mean? Is this the energy of every single full moon in Capricorn? I don't know. Again, even just like doing this, I would say it's not foreseen, but I'm not surprised to see it. I don't know if I said that in a video or if I was talking about something recently. Where it's like, it's not like a shock. It's not like this was outside the realm of possibility. You know what I mean? It's not what I expected, but it's not super surprising either. I don't know. Anyway, it's been 1 hour 28 minutes. So much for a 10-minute video. Who's next on the zodiac list? I need to finish it. Semyaza, Angel of Pride. As the angel sang with all of these singers, oh, this is it. This is it. This is it. Oh, snap. It's a Rob Odinson. How you doing, Rob? I feel like I thought about you before I started this. And I don't remember what the thought was. But I was like, oh, well, like, he's like got a new place, so he's probably, I don't remember what the thought was anyway. It might come back to me, it probably won't. Nice to see that it worked. I don't know how I did it or what I did. I think it was just like a generally good reading, a genuinely good reading. It's like Rob's here. You should have been here earlier to tell me not to overcomplicate it and just take it as it is. I'm just, I'm kidding. I'm just playing. Semyaza, Angel of Pride. And oh, see, I said I was confusing the angels for singers. I kept wanting to say the angel of connection or whatever. There is the angel of. Is it the angel of balance, the one I'm thinking of in the energy oracle cards? I don't remember. As the angel sang, a single speck. Speck was one of my words in the Quirtle today. And I was like, I don't even know if I would have gotten, like, I did specs, SPECS. And I'm like, I don't know, like, SPEC was right. And I was like, I don't know what letter comes after C, like, nothing else is a word. And it was SPECK. And I was like, spec, is that even a word? And I was like, oh, yeah, it is. I got the word. I struggled to get it, but I got the word on the Quirtle. As the angel sang, a single speck of something passed through the light and cast a tiny shadow down on the earth. Beneath the stars, that shadow looked back at the heavens and saw himself for the first time. He gave himself his own name and turned his back on the existence he'd been granted by the universe. One by one, Semyaza called out for his brethren, and they bowed to meet him. He was the giver of names, Lord and King. There was to be none before him and none after. And I feel like, I don't know, it feels like, again, the angels sang and a speck fell to the earth. The speck looked back up. It's almost, so in this instance, it's like how we can see everything as like unidirectionally, almost like falling like from earth to heaven. But it's like there's also like it goes the other way. And when that connection went back up, that's what like ignited something that got Semyaza to realize whatever he realized, to give himself his own name and to become the Semyaza that he became instead of being the unnamed one he was before. I don't know. And then we get the horn. The bottom of the deck is the trumpet, is the horn. So I don't know. Maybe Full Moon Capricorn said it's go time. It's go time, folks. Impressing all the neighbors with your gluttony for punishment. Pure speculation. Love that. Ooh, this bright screen is hot. It is melting. But it's also that you can see the cards. Are you done with the Bobcat or are you still driving it around? So wait, are y'all putting in a pool? Question mark. Because you shared a picture on. I think it was one of the like. I think there were like 5 pictures that you shared, and I didn't know if like y'all were laying tile down for a pool or something. This is not shuffling this way, but it's fine. There we go. Decent shuffle. Oh my goodness. Sweating. Alright, fairies. Last one. The final fairy. Last call for the final fairy or fairies. 3 card max. Preferably 1. 1 would be cool. 3, 2. Oh, there we go. Oh. It's this dude. Who are you? Oh, snap. Oh, it was returned. You're broke now. Oh, okay. Gotcha. I mean, there's always the future. Josh with backyard leisure. So the card that came out after I said 3. Well, I think I did the 3, and then I was on 2. As soon as I started 2, it just like came out. And I've actually, like, I've referenced this fairy, and another fairy referenced this fairy, and there was, did I read it? I think I did, where feminine and masculine meet, the conception of innocence, nesting, and preparation. The bright mother came back out. The bright mother is here for himself. And then, oh snap, is that him? No. The bottom of the deck is this G whoever this is. G Hobyob. And it said, like, even old G something smiles. Now I gotta look at all the cards again. I think it might have been in himself. Oh, but they're 1661. Those are the numbers on these two. 1661. I mean, I opened up to the bright mother. I think it was what number was himself? 17. That's literally right here. Shamans draw upon his power, and the best healers challenge the balance between his power and the bright mother's nurturing energy. I feel like it, or maybe it was on the connection card. He is the great father. Did I read that? I don't remember it. Um, it had to be the singer of connection was number 6. Here it is. I can remember the numbers, but somebody mentioned it. I guess it doesn't matter. It's fine. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't in the last one I read. I thought it was in himself. The Piper. Mm-hmm. And the last one was 11. I guess we'll try it. 1 second. It'll bother me if I don't find it. I mean, I guess it'll only bother me to a certain degree. Oh, it's right here. Okay. It was the Singer of Transfiguration. I don't know. I really thought it wasn't. Um, there really isn't much I can say about this. Not even the fairies seem to have anything to add. They're just sitting around here smiling blissfully. Even old G Doom. Well, that's not G Doom. I'm pretty sure that's not Doom. That's, first of all, it's too many letters to be the word Doom. Let's see who 61 is. 61. Who are you? G who? G Hobya. Yeah. Hobya. I read it right. just didn't know it was a thing. Imaginary fears, unreal hazards, realistic caution is OG Hobia or Hobia. So let's read the Bright Mother. Again, the Bright Mother is creativity, nurturing, productivity, intimacy, and sheltering. She is the bright mother of us all and knows that life, all life, is a miracle. I'm actually not going to read these. Well, no, I'm not. I don't feel like it. I should have read it. Well, the book's already closed. See, there is something about the energy around full moon Capricorn. It's super like it's like feedback and like surging because it was like himself amplifies, energizes, powers up, the fairies around him are connected to him, but because the angel of connection was connected to him and amplifying that connection, it's almost like, I guess it could like reverse the flow of it, but himself had a connection to the Bright Mother. And when he surged, the singer of connection, she came out at the end. And I don't know if OG Hovia is like actually here or if it's just like it's the 1661 showing like it's the mirror, it's the other side of like what's on that connection. Um, a need for wisdom was on that card. I didn't really think too much of it. Maybe it's just like a pacing thing. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. That's what I got. A compressed diatomaceous earth bath. What? You mentioned diatomaceous earth yesterday. I wonder if it's just like the clarity of the channel. I don't know. Excuse me, have no idea. So with that, I hope you all have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. Thank you all for being here. This was much more enjoyable than some of the things that have come from me, through me, as me sometimes. Um, I don't know what's happening, but it looks like it's all good. So I will catch y'all in the next one. Nobody even had to pay me to be here today. I'm kidding. I say that because of all the gifts I've received and how it's been like, oh, opening something else. And then I was like, I'm never making another video ever again. And then I got a gift from Eve, so I had to come back. It was the fairies. I'm actually really, really glad because like when I used to see other readers use this deck, it seemed kind of, I feel like it's one of the ones that seemed kind of intimidating. Um, or it seemed like I would just be like lost if I tried to read it or read with it. It seemed like I wouldn't be able to connect to it, but it feels like it's like surprisingly easy to connect to. For me at least. Because like I said, I thought I was going to struggle. But I love the. I mean, it's a book that's well written. If I was just going off of the, if I was just using them, let me see. As a bonus, I'm gonna not use the book, and we're gonna try to see if I can get this fairy to talk to me. Oof, I feel like this is a mistake. I'm about to make a mistake real time. It's the fairies oracle. This is the book. Where did the box go? Um, and here's the box. Oh, it's literally the same. The fairies oracle. We're just gonna pull this one fairy, this one right here. Oh goodness, I can't even read it. The glaucoma? What? The glanconer? Number 62. That was after the 61. I'm like, who's at the bottom? Oh, it's old G Hobby still down there. Something about the face is weird. The Glen Connor, the Glen Connor, Glen Connor, is that a thing? Glen Coco. But it feels like another one of those in betweeners because it's almost like the Glen Connor is. It's like it's walking through a forest, but it's not. Almost like how like a ghost can be trapped between like this dimension and the next, well, between life and the afterlife. Um, it's fine. It's fine. All right, so I'm gonna end this. That was just to exhibit how much difficulty I thought I'd have with this deck and how amazing the book is. Because the book really helps. Like Eve said, it's a great book. Thank you again for the gift. Um, so yeah, again, I hope you'll have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. And I will see you next time. And then, oh goodness, oh gosh, please. There we go. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not even. It's too late. It's too warm. It's too. I can't. I'm not going there. I'm not going there. It's fine. Oh, this is what I do. Hold up. Wait. Let me do my best real Korok impersonation. Oh gosh, I really messed these up when I put them back in here. Trying to shut this video down all hasty like. Okay. So look at this and see how it speaks to you. If you need, you can pause the video, meditate on it, reflect on it. It feels like it holds a different message for all of us. So I'm not going to give a single one. And it's not because I don't know what the Glen Connor is. It's because my guides are telling me that it's important for you to look at the Glen Connor and see what you get. Because it doesn't matter what I get. I can't get an understanding for you. I can only give you the information and hope that you get an understanding for yourself that resonates and works for you. All right, I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.